Hello everyone. My name is Ankur, and Shashank will be my co-host today for the session today. And a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who has joined and tuned in for this webinar today. And we are very excited to be talking to you about, what works at 10 tests usually breaks at 1,000, and how can you actually scale visual testing with AI. And uh, uh, very exciting stuff to talk about. A lot has been happening in the AI space already, and we can't wait to speak with you about what BrowserStack is doing around AI and what has been Shashank's experience personally around AI. Right. So I'll just quickly move to the next slide and talk about few housekeeping items. Uh, this session will run for around 45 minutes, and Q&A will be happening at the end for around 10-15 minutes. The session is being recorded, so you'll get the session link post the session gets over your email. The participants will be by default muted and for avoiding any interruptions, but you will be allowed to post any questions on the chat, and we will take those questions one by one. We are also joined by a panelist from BrowserStack who will help us answer those questions. I have Pranav and Keegan joining us from BrowserStack who will help me assist in answering those questions along with Shashank from Red Hat. Yeah, I think moving next, I'll just quickly do introduction about myself. My name is Ankur Kumar. Uh, I I work as group product manager with BrowserStack. I've been with the company for around 2.5 years. I head visual testing product team for BrowserStack, which constitutes of two products largely, Percy and AppPercy. In total, I have around 15 years of work experience, 10 years into product management and 4 to 5 years into software development. Uh, Happy to hear from you, Shashank, about your background.
Yeah, hi, and good. Thank you for the intro. Yeah, so hi everyone. Good morning, good evening, all. My name is Shashank, and I'm working as a senior software quality engineer at Red Hat. So I have worked on multiple tools and technologies. I have worked on multiple domains like customer portal, customer case management, chatbot AI, Salesforce service, Salesforce sales instances. I am passionate about quality engineering and always aim to bring efficiency and reliability into the products which I am using right now. So I'm excited to here today to share my learning and experiences, what I have learned in my entire journey in visual testing. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome and pleasure having you, Shashank, for this session today. Up next is the agenda for the session today. So we will be covering what exactly is visual testing, why is it important for you, what's the core difference between visual testing and functional testing, what are the tools and technologies that you can leverage to drive visual testing in your organizations, and how does visual testing actually work, right? And what are some use cases and real life examples which will help you probably understand and realize why visual testing could be important for you. Then we'll also touch upon what are the challenges and best practices that we are seeing in the visual testing practices currently, followed by a good live demo of around 10-15 minutes that we will do towards the end of the session, and followed by that will be a Q&A of again 10-15 minutes. So it's a jam-packed schedule, and I'm again very excited to be having this conversation with all of you today. Again, just reiterating, feel free to post questions in the chat. The panel will help answer all those questions, and we will be able to understand and gauge also the kind of questions that are coming our way for this session. So I think up next, we have a quick poll that we want to run. You have this image that shows up on your slide and on your windows, and we would want you to check and help us understand what are the number of differences that you see across these two images. So just help eyeball these two images and spot the differences. Yeah. So I see folks are opting for 8 changes, 12 changes, 20 changes, 4 changes. Cool. I think I'll end the poll. And I think most of you opted for 20 changes. Or if 20 and 12 is like there is a clash, and 8 changes like 17%, but only 13% got it right, which is like none of the above, because this image actually has 36 changes. And it is so difficult to eyeball these changes manually. And that is why we just want to bring in the impact and the difference that visual testing ends up creating for your organization, wherein you might just eyeball things and realize that this is something which is taken care of, while actually the changes might be a lot more than you are actually anticipating. So before we move ahead, there'll be just one more poll also that will show up on your screen, where you'll want to know that are you already using any visual testing tool in your organization as of now? So just help us understand where you are coming from, and we'll then take the session forward. I see a lot of folks already using Percy, which is great, and a couple of them are also using like open source solutions. Cool. I think we can end the poll. Thank you so much, folks, for participating in this poll. And I'll move next, and I'll hand it over to Shashank to drive the session before I join back for the demo session with you. Over to you, Shashank.
Thanks, Ankur. Thanks, Ankur, for presenting the visual differences images. So as we talk about the visual differences images, right? So how to cure that visual differences? Basically, visual testing comes to action in this particular moment. So let's talk about visual testing, what visual testing is. So when we talk about visual testing, like visual testing is basically a technique, a way through which we are basically comparing the UI appearances, okay, and detect the visual regression things. So whatever you see on the webs, right, each and every things represented in the form of pixel. So what we are doing is we are comparing the baseline images with the actual images pixel by pixel and trying to figure it out what each pixel is different, right? So when we talk about why, what are the reasons for which we can use the visual testing is like, suppose the color changes is there, right? Broken layout, misaligned buttons, button is not aligned properly, or the button size is bigger or smaller, right? Or incorrect spacing. So in this particular aspect, we generally use visual testing. Next. Yeah. So why visual testing is important? So that is the preliminary concern when we talk about the visual testing part, right? So whenever we perform a functional testing, we only try to figure it out the functionality perspective, right? But at some time what happened is like the visual things got missed by our human eyes, right? So that's why, that is the reason like we generally prefer visual testing. Apart from this, also when we perform the same thing on multiple devices, right, we are used to you do the same thing again and again. So instead of doing that, what we can do is we can maintain the thing with the help of visual testing. Maintain the brand integrity. Suppose their logo is present on a any e-commerce website, right? So the logo is aligned on the login page, cart page, dashboard page, and the logout pages, right? So the logo type as well as the way the logo is presented, that should be aligned properly on throughout the each and every web pages, right? It also reduces the human errors, improve the cross browser reliability. Suppose anything which is working fine in Chrome, right, it should work fine for Firefox, Edge, and Safari browser as well, right? If it is consistent, right? It also complements the functional testing part, simplifies the collaboration, and prevent the visual regressions. It also saves human efforts to save their time and efforts to basically do the visual checks. Next. So when we talk about visual testing and functional testing, what is the difference between the visual testing and functional testing is, what is the purpose? Why we are using functional testing? The purpose of functional testing is just to make sure that whatever the builds which are built by the developer, they are working as expected, right? Like app logic and behavior part. But whereas visual testing ensures that the UI looks correct, right, to the users. So for focus area, the focus area for functional testing is to check the backend logics, APIs, and validation parts, right? And when we do the same thing in visual checks, like it's more of a talk about the colors, layouts, fonts, positioning, and multiple other aspects. When we see the test output for functional testing, it is either fail or either pass, right? But it will not give you the exact thing like what where it is failing, right? Because you can figure it out with the help of visual testing. Okay, so what visual is breaking, right? Pixel by pixel you can identify, okay, so this is the position where the things are breaking out, right? Okay. Apart from this, we also can see that the automation, with the help of automation, it can be implemented with the help of Selenium, Playwright, Cypress. We can achieve the functional testing. But for visual testing, we need to take a help of Percy, Backstop.js, visual regression triggers, right? When functional testing is needed, whenever suppose the developer develop a code and push their code into the any pre-prod environment, right? We need to perform the functional testing part. But when visual testing is required, suppose there is a UI changes, right, or there is a design changes, or there is CSS selector changes, right? At that particular time we need to do this. Can we have the next, please? Yes. So talking about the tools and technologies part, so there are market leading tools like BrowserStack with Percy, Playwright, Cypress, Backstop.js, Loki, and there are multiple other open source as well as paid tools. Next. Yeah. So talking about the architecture, like how basically visual testing works. So we first of all what we need to do is we need to configure the, suppose let's talk about Percy part. Okay, so Percy we need to configure it to the our automation existing automation tool, and what it will do is it will first of all create images, basically the baselines images, and it will save to the Percy cloud. Okay, and again when the test got triggered, it will again take the screenshot, it will again uploaded the same thing on the Percy cloud, and it will compare the baseline image with the actual image. Are both the equals? So all the if both the images are equal, then we are good with it. Like our visual is working fine, and that thing is breaking. And if they are not, it will show us like where it is breaking, and we can raise a bug accordingly. Let's talk something about codeless automation, right? Suppose if there is the one who is not requiring to write the code, right? Visual scanner is providing a feature through which what we can do is we can do the assertions over our pre-prod environment. Suppose like there is a QA or stage or pre-prod other environments, right? uh, what we can do is like smart visual change detection means like detects only meaningful visual changes by intelligently like filtering it out the false positive. When we talk about false positive, what false positive is, like the test case is passing but there are bugs in it, right? So that thing we can cure with this. When we talk about instant automation, automated visual testing is like we can automate this particular process instead of doing the human intervention. Apart from this, detailed insights with visual differences, like where exactly the issue is, it will highlight and it will send us, and we can integrate the same thing into any CI/CD integration tool. So Ankur, do you want
Yeah,
to add something in it?
yeah. Just to add to what Shashank you just described, I think Visual Scanner is a new offering by BrowserStack. We already have Percy, App Percy, which takes care of detecting visual differences in an automated fashion for your web and mobile platforms. Visual Scanner does the same thing without writing any code. It's a low code, no code way of scanning your web pages, which may be on your staging environment or your production environment on a periodical basis and report and highlight and detect any visual bugs. So it's something that which you can try it out and make it much faster to get started with your visual testing journey in your organizations.
Yeah. So talking about the use case and real life example is what I generally face in my existing project is like whenever there is a functionality built by the developer, right? What we need to do is we need to perform the visual regressions, right? Manually before I got a chance to work on any or any automation tools like visual automation tools like Percy, right? So before that, we need to do these things manually, right? What happens? Suppose the design validations got changed, right? It is basically a barrier for us. What suppose if I run my test cases on a Chrome itself, and if I am not checking for Firefox, sometimes what happen is like the website works completely fine in one of the web pages, but it is not working in Safari or any other browsers, right? So this type of inconsistency I have observed. So talking about the visual inconsistency in branding part is, suppose the logo is not aligned properly, or when we change the pixel, the logo goes out of the particular page, right? And talking about the dark mode theme in theme testing, dynamic content validations. So suppose there is a pricing on the pages it's given, and the page pricing is dynamic and it is changing again and again, right? How to validate that particular stuff. And also like end-to-end UI testings in CI/CD pipelines instead of a human going to verify the builds again and again. How we can integrate it with any of CI/CD pipeline automation tool. So that's the thing.
So Shashank, can you help us understand that how did Red Hat implement Percy in your organization, and how do you like go ahead with setting it up in your workflow and your pipeline? Can you just take a step back and help us understand that?
Yeah, Ankur. So basically, like 3 years ago, what happened is like we are migrating our project from Drupal D7 to D10 platform. Okay, at that particular moment, we are building the entire D10 platform from the scratch. Okay, so at that time, as a QA, I need to focus on two major aspects. First, one is to basically to entirely test the functionality perspective. Okay, and as well as I need to test on the visual parts as well, because at the same time itself, like I am consistently doing the two things. First is testing the functionality, another thing is testing the regression part, visual regression part. So that things basically is our nightmare at that particular time. So that's why like we explored it and we found Percy, and Percy mostly done all our things which we are basically facing in our day-to-day activities.
Got it. Amazing. Good to know. Thanks, Shashank, for answering that. Move next. Yeah.
Yeah, so talking about the leveraging AI capabilities and visual testing part is, suppose that there is a text which is written on the web page, okay, and the text is shifted to the left hand side, right? At that particular moment, what happen is like it is basically slightly, it is a slight changes, right? But it do is like it breaks my visual regression part, right? So that's why with the help of AI, what we are doing is we are planning to like have this particular thing that instead of a human interviewer, like they can take care of this. Apart from this, machine learning algorithm to reduce the false positive, because sometimes false positives are the second most nightmare as a regression testers. Apart from this, talking about the AI can group the similar visual changes across multiple pages, so that suppose there is a website and there is having a dashboard, and in dashboard there is a content related to phone only. So specific to phone, we can set it up into a different set of group images, so that we can test it into the same mirror itself. Apart from this, visual bugs, we can whenever there is a bug happens, right, automatically it will check the severity of that, and according to that, if the integrations got happen, automatically it will create a bug on Jira or something like this. Apart from this, consistently human feedbacks, improvements, detection, accuracy over the time, and predictive analytics can identify the trends, visual failures, what are the root cause of it, and helping the team to improve the design and stability part.
Got it. I think I'll just step in here and talk about how BrowserStack Percy is improving with generative AI, right? And so we are advancing our visual AI engine, which is already super powerful in detecting visual differences by complementing it with large language models and using the advanced generative AI capabilities to further enrich our visual AI engine and make it even more powerful in detecting more relevant diffs that matter to human eyes. So that's the first thing that we're doing. And then what's the outcome of doing this? The outcome is you you become smarter in reviewing your diffs. You only spend time in reviewing the most accurate diffs that should actually be not going into the production, and they should actually get solved. So you end up making your teams and your organization more productive by leveraging the capability of generative AI models. Right? And any differences arising because of dynamic data or infra-related uh, stability issues, those are again the ones that we want to basically become smarter in detecting and not highlighting for you to actually spend time and then figuring out that this is something that you should not be worried about, right? There are automatic workflow decisions related to approving or disapproving a test based on your past interactions with your review experience that you might have done in your previous builds, which you want to factor in and probably take that into consideration and make the personalized diffing experience being available to you, right? There are other use cases around dynamic elements such as videos and SVGs, which require right now customized handling so that they do not cause noise in your diffing experience. If left, untouched, you will end up actually seeing those dynamic videos and SVGs showing up as actually breaking your UI, which but actually does not make any sense for you to spend time. Those are dynamic elements which ideally any LLM or generative AI model should end up ignoring for you, right? Last but not the least, there's always a specific diff sensitivity level or the kind of strictness that you want in your diffing, which should ideally become the default diffing experience for you. And that's where something we are trying to personalize your experience using the generative AI capabilities. And making sure that you do not have to worry about setting those sensitivity levels time and over again for every build that you run, or for every snapshot that you might want to have a certain level of tweak or a customization that it may require from the rest of the snapshots that you might be reviewing in your build. So these are some of the capabilities that we are offering through generative AI, and you will see a lot many of these capabilities going live shortly, and you will be able to use some of these agents on a day-to-day basis and improve the life of visual testers in your organizations in an impactful way, right? Some of it I'll also talk about in the demo session, but moving ahead.
Yeah. So talking about this particular part, like what are the challenges and best practices in visual testing is like uh, dynamic content. Like suppose we are having a sort of images, and in that particular images there are certain set of data which is in the format of digits, right? And the digits is dynamically changing, right? How to assert that particular thing, because I have explored multiple tools and I have faced multiple challenges regarding this particular, because whatever the things which are listed here, these are basically my general challenges which I have faced in my visual recognition technique. So minor pixel changes, minor pixel differences, these are the key thing which suppose if there is a button and which is aligned in the center of the page, okay, and uh, what happen if the button is aligned left towards it, right? So this type of things. Apart from this, visual flakiness, cross browser inconsistency, ignoring the specific region, lack of standardization, and slow execution processes. So these are the set of challenges which I have.
So Shashank, uh, I think listening to this narrative, if you can you help us understand what has the ROI been for Red Hat when they used Percy? The entire team is engaged in investing in Percy. What has been the ROI so far for you, and what is the impact that you're seeing from some of our AI capabilities that we are right now providing to our customers?
Yeah, so for every tester, the key thing is like to have a successful release, right? So uh, for specifically for Percy, like Percy catches the bugs before reaching into the production, right? That is the preliminary goal for any tester. So when I talk about my personal experiences, visual regression is my key thing. Whenever there is a suppose what I have done in my project is like I have integrated my automation tool with within the framework is already placed on the GitLab, and that particular pipeline I have wrote it within the developer pipeline itself. So what happen is whenever the developers push their changes into that particular repository, automatically my automation tool will run, and it will send an email report to them that this is the changes that you have made so far, and these are the basically the failures of it, right? And we talk about the other aspects, like it basically gives the confidence to my developers that yeah, we perceive their visual testing, we will take Percy will take care of it. Okay, so talking about the confidence part, so every developers gain a confidence regarding this particular thing. So apart from this, we also see the cross collaboration, right? Our designers will look into the Percy cloud. They will see, okay, what are the things are kept there. Apart from this, QA also see on the Percy cloud, okay, these are the images. It is breaking or not. And also like the developers go to that particular Percy cloud and they will see like, okay, this is, so it basically increases our team collaborations. And talking about other aspect is like the cross browser testing is the one of the thing where one within a one execution itself we can see the same screenshot on the multiple browsers, like Edge, Firefox, Edge, Firefox, Safari, and Chrome, right? At this mobile document. Apart from this seamless integration, like if you are trying to set up the Percy with any of the automation tool, I have set up with personally with Cypress, so it will not take hardly 15 minutes to you, right? So the seamless integration with any of the frameworks will more attract me toward use Percy. So yeah, that's my experience.
Got it. Thank you so much, Shashank. I think what I hear from you is like integration helped you get started very quickly in Percy. The team collaboration helped you collaborate with team collaboration capabilities offered by Percy helped you interact with your respective team and make sure that the team is on top of the visual bugs that we're identifying. You're able to also scale your testing by having a centralized view of all the snapshots on Percy, and you were able to also test your visual bugs across different browsers and resolutions, right? Which otherwise a manual eyeballing process will take a lot more time, and it's not worth the ROI of the team that you might hire to do the quality checks for your organization. Is that right, Shashank?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that I have understood you in a correctly. Okay, cool. I think now I think this is we now head to the demo section. You guys might be already waiting for the demo to begin. So what I have for you is the Percy dashboard UI. This is when you log into BrowserStack Percy. This is the default page that you'll see, which basically shows you the list of builds that you might have run in your CI/CD pipeline and what is the respective Git branch or that you are running the build from. What are the test cases that are showing up in your build? How many snapshots are part of your build? How many of them have you have already reviewed, and how many of them are still yet to be reviewed? And what is the status of your overall build? Has the build failed, or the build is completely unreviewed, or the build has any changes or not whatsoever, right? Now, see uh, if you evaluate the kind of effort a manual QA has to put in, if they are not using a manual testing, if not using a visual testing tool, and they have, let's say, 100 pages to test on 4 browsers and 2 resolutions, right? So that's like 800 combinations we're talking about, 100 into 4 into 2, right? So 800 pages manually eyeballing is just not possible, or even if it's possible, it's going to require a huge manpower investment for any organization, right? So tools, visual testing tools like Percy help you navigate through the situation where you have to make sure that the UI is intact and there are no unintentional changes going live in your production. And your automation basically takes care of ensuring that precisely, right? In Percy, for starting with integration, you can choose whatever framework language that you may want to start with. We have a range of integration support for different automation frameworks and languages. Over here, I just have Playwright support open for you. You can go through and download the BrowserStack SDK and get started with integrating Percy in your pipeline, and even from your local host as well. You can start pushing builds in Percy and start seeing the results. The documentation is seamless, and it's straightforward for you to understand and get started with your journey. Once you have done a selection of your respective automation framework and language, and you have pushed the builds are going to show up over here. And if you open any of the builds, you basically land into a review experience dashboard. This is the dashboard which shows you what exactly has changed from your previously approved state of UI to the current state of UI in your current build, right? And the advantage of doing this, A, is you do the testing, or you run your test on just one browser. We help you render it across multiple browsers and resolutions as you may want to test it on, right? So over here you can see there are 4 browsers and 2 resolutions that for which the results are going to be generated for visual comparison. You can customize it and have as many resolutions as you may feel like for comparison, right? Now on this dashboard, I have basic filtering options on the left. I can see how many snapshots of my total snapshots in my build have actually changed. In this particular build, all the snapshots have changed, but you can imagine a scenario where you have hundreds of snapshots and only 2 or 3 have changed. You can only focus and spend your time in reviewing only the change snapshots, right? There are certain filters on the left which can help you again navigate through the approved snapshots or unapproved snapshots, or there are snapshots for which some changes were requested, so you can filter them. You can filter the snapshots also on the base of browsers and resolutions, right? Now, Percy in particular is, so I mean, this is just a diff view that you can see, the image that I was showing you in the beginning of the poll, that manual eyeballing is difficult. Percy helps you and gives you a heat map of what exactly has changed on your page as you scroll down from your previous build to the new build that has run, right? Now, I'll just spend a little bit of time to help you understand our visual AI engine, which is like extremely powerful to detect, minor shifts that are happening on your page. It helps you, check these kind of scenarios where there are certain new sections that are added on your page, which are causing the page to shift. Now, instead of entire page being highlighted as has changed, the actual call out should be something like this, where something got added at the end of the page and something got added at the end of the page, in the beginning of the page. So any page shift detections are extremely powerful, which Percy Visual AI Engine takes care of. Then there is a diff highlighter, which helps you navigate from one diff to another diff. And if the page is really long, it becomes really difficult to eyeball where are my changes. So a diff highlighter will help you navigate through the visual changes quickly. Then you have a lot of noise that occurs because of the difference in way how machines render the DOM elements. There could be differences arising because of your chips. On the hardware side, there could be GPU issues because of which a lot of anti-aliasing noise can creep in your diffing experience. And Visual AI Engine by Percy is equipped to negate those kind of small pixel shifts or changes in the content and basically end up showing you no diff whatsoever compared to other traditional visual diffing algorithms, which actually show you the noisy kind of a diffs. A lot of false positives which you have to wrap your head around and negate and ignore, right? And then talking about text stabilization, if you have these two texts, there are hardly any noticeable differences, but any traditional algorithm will end up showing you a noisy kind of picture around changes happening in your text, while Percy will end up showing you no diff whatsoever because it's actually not relevant for human eyes, right? So these, and last but not the least, speed of with which Visual AI Engine delivers your build and the performance of the build is extremely fast, and to make the organizations more and more productive and make sure that they are on top of the visual bits within the stipulated time. Uh, Up next, I will quickly talk about layout testing support that BrowserStack Percy offers. So if you just eyeball these two images, it's a classic case of two images which are showing you a lot of diffs, but essentially the component of the page or the template of the page is not broken. The template remains the same. My catalog has changed. The price points have changed. The positioning of these mobile devices are changed on the page, right? So ideally, I should not be so worried about it because it's intentional kind of an experience for any e-commerce website or a template-driven website to have it. So to handle this, Percy has a layout-powered experience for you, wherein if you enable your diffing experience with layout algorithm, we end up not showing you any diff whatsoever. So even if you see a side-by-side comparison, it will say that no visual changes happened. And if I just show you the image, this is the original image, which has iPhone 12 and $799 in the first window. And the new image is replaced by iPhone 11 Pro with the price being changed. But there's no difference that is called out entirely because the page remains intact. So layout algorithm is a supremely powerful algorithm which helps, again, take a larger control around your diffing experience offered by Percy. Right. Up next, we have, capability around manually drawing either certain sections which you want to ignore from your visual diffing radar, or you may want to select a particular DOM element. Let's say I'll just show you that capability also. I think I'm already in that window. So I can select a particular DOM element and I can apply a specific algorithm on that DOM element. Either it could be a layout algorithm, or I may ignore that element entirely from my future builds, or I might, let's say, have more customizations around it. There's something called as IntelliIgnore, which is a smart way of controlling to what extent the image changes has to be highlighted in your visual diffing experience, right? And there are uh, levels that you can set that up to a 20% change in an image, you do not want to be notified about any change, or if you want to take this number to 40%, 50%, 10%, 5%, depending on so on and so forth. So a DOM-based level selection and a control around what you want to see in that particular DOM, a layout algorithm, or ignore the region, or have a specific IntelliIgnore kind of capability defined is something which Percy supports. Plus, there are advanced settings, whether you want to persist these DOM level configurations across all your browsers, all your widths, and all your branches or not, is something that you can have a complete control over, right? So this is something which we have. I think we have been receiving rave reviews from our customers on this, and this is something which is extremely powerful way of controlling your entire diffing experience in Percy at a DOM and element level, right? I think up next we have RCA. It's called root cause analysis. So this is the window with which you can enable your root cause experience. This is RCA kind of a feature. And RCA gives you an hand-holding around what exactly has changed in your diffs. What are the HTML changes or CSS changes or the positional changes that are happening in your in your screenshots. And I can navigate from one diff to another diff, and I can actually see that my diff class IDs has changed from 6 to 11 in this particular diff, right? And that is whether this is called out as has changed. There are no CSS changes per se, but there are also position changes that I can talk about, and I can see from here. And root cause analysis helps me deep dive into different sections of the diff and quickly highlight and debug what exactly has changed in terms of the code, CSS, or position, right? Again, an extremely powerful feature to give you a tighter control around knowing what exactly has to be solved by either the end developers or whoever is controlling the diffing experience for you, right? Uh, Apart from root cause analysis, we have capability to compare your Figma designs with your production screenshots. So we call it Figma powered review experience. And you can import your Figma designs from your Figma file. So I have a Figma file for you right now for just for a quick reference. These are the two screenshots or designs that I have in one Figma file. I can import this entire Figma file in Percy, and I can start running builds against that particular Figma design, which shows up on your left, and I can see what exactly has changed against my Figma file. So again, needless to say, it's a lifesaver for designers and for front-end developers when they are, let's say, held accountable for not adhering to the design standards that the organization is setting through the designers. So, and this kind of a periodical audit that you can run, or you can mandate it along with every build that is running, that it should actually pass the Figma design check before it sees the light of the day in production, right? I think these are the set of features that we have, which I just want to highlight in the demo. And there are, of course, many more set of features and customizations that are there. If you would like a customized demo, you can probably help us get that intent. I think if the team can just flash the poll also on the screen, and we can give you, we'll reach out to you with a customized and personalized demo. While you participate in this poll, I'll also talk about some of the customizations that you can do in your project settings, where you can choose a specific type of baseline management. There is a Git versus visual Git. Git is something which favors end developers, software developers, and resonates with exactly the Git workflow on a day-to-day basis. Visual Git is something which favors more around SDETs and QAs, and it has a different way of comparing snapshots against different builds, because your approved snapshot may be part of different builds and may not be part of a specific build altogether compared to what Git experience gives you, which favors the developers. You can also define your default base branch. You can also auto approve branches which you do not want to be reviewed at all and do not want to waste any time, or there are any specific branches which you want to have a strict check placed. You can do that. There are advanced options around how you want to customize your experience in diffing. There are diff sensitivity levels. Relaxed is a slightly more relaxed way of controlling your diffing experience. Recommended is it's a little less harsh, and strict is like where most of the pixel changes, if at all happening, will get highlighted in your experience in your build, right? So these customizations help you again take charge and customize different projects for your needs. IntelliIgnore is something that I talked about. Again, at an image level, you can customize your experience of diffing and say that, okay, beyond a certain threshold level, I do not care if my image has changed, right? And only above a specific threshold level, I should be notified about an image change in my build. I think, yeah, I think these are the changes that you can also auto finalize builds. Sometimes when builds are taking more time, you can forcefully finalize the builds even if they have not been finalized. There are also project screenshot limits that you can set. There are customizations that you can do in your you can start tracking what is the actual usage of screenshots that are happening across your different teams, and exactly how much is the license utilization that each and every team is doing, or what is the overall license utilization across your organization. So some kind of analytics and notifications around your licenses are automatically triggered by the system, which helps you keep a tab on the entire utilization and usage window, usage happening in your organization. So this is pretty much what I have for the audience here. I'm happy to jump onto any questions. I'm sure you would have participated in the poll that flashed on your screen, and you have expressed your intent. We'll switch gears and now quickly start. Just give me a second. Can Percy import a sitemap.xml? Yes. So thanks, Eric, for asking that question. We do have visual scanner capability within Percy, which helps you import a sitemap. And whatever web pages that are part of that sitemap, they will start getting automatically scanned without writing any code. You can choose the frequency of scan, weekly, daily, monthly. You can also choose your browsers and resolutions for scanning all the web pages in your sitemap.xml file. If that answers your question, Eric. I see a question from Greta. I think the team has already answered, but I'll still pick it up. Is it worth to start visual testing while system is in polishing progress with lots of UI UX changes? Very good question, and Shashank, I'll request you to also chime in after I take a stab at it from my end. I think, Greta, if you see when you're starting your development journey, the first touch point that and the need that will arise for visual testing is comparing with Figma. So even while you are in development stages, ideally, or whatever design tool that you might be using Adobe XD or any other design tool whatsoever. So when you have, let's say, the first cut of uh, dev drop ready on staging environment, the first thing which organizations should ideally do is compare the quality of dev code against the Figma designs, right? So that's one entry point that you can find for visual testing tools and mitigating and preventing any bugs to be identified by QA at a later stage, right? Forget about like production. Even the QA should not be wrapping their head around and telling the front-end developer that this file is not exactly or this page is not matching a Figma design. So I see value in starting with from that lens. But if your UI is very, very dynamically changing in production, you're just starting to write your code base, doing production sanity may only help only if you're certain about that this particular screen ideally was not expected to change, but rest of the screens, I know that there's no point checking them because I know that they are expected to change. So some of those changes you can put on a branch which you auto approve, right? And there are certain branches in Percy that you can configure where you push those screenshots which require your audit, and you know for sure that unless my review happens, I would not want those snapshots to go live. So that kind of customization can help you focus on only the most critical snapshots when you have such a chaotic development process early on in any new product that you might be coding. Shashank, anything that you want to add here?
Yeah, Ankur, I agree with Ankur. What Ankur said. Apart from this, like what you can do is like how I approach to this particular problem is like I will divide the particular website into certain set of segments, certain set of pages, and based on the pages, I will apply performing the percent over it. Okay, so what happen is whatever the Figma is there. So based on the Figma, what are the fields? What are the layouts? What are the components which we are built, right? So even you can get the not the surpass level of expectations, but you can get the basic level of understanding, like where it is breaking.
So thanks, Shashank. Yeah, thank you so much. We have a question from Nomfundo. Thanks, Nomfundo, for asking the question. So how does hosting work? That is Percy only hosted on the cloud, or is there a way to download and have it running local on the one's machine? And if a dev wants to test during dev before going live, second question, do you support Oracle Apex? So Percy currently is offered on cloud, Nomfundo. We do not have an on-prem version, but you need not rely on our rendering engine per se to start your visual testing journey. We have a BYOS capability as well, which is bringing your own screenshot. You can generate your own screenshots in your local host and just use Percy for doing the comparison or diffing, right? So that kind of capability exists if, let's say, you have already screenshots generated from your in-house capabilities, or there are tools that are helping you generate those screenshots. You only want a centralized support to store those screenshots, then you can use Percy. But there's no on-prem solution that we offer as yet. And do you support Oracle Apex? Okay, Oracle Apex, I'm not sure what exactly is Oracle Apex. Is it, if you can help me also understand what's Oracle Apex, or if team can here just do a quick research and answer that. But as of now, I don't see this something is familiar to us that we support this. Laura has a question. How does scanning work for applications that work in cloud? Okay. Yeah, so there are two ways, Laura, that you can address that. If you are scanning your applications which are on cloud, you can either set up your visual automation workflow, wherein you will install BrowserStack SDK and take snapshots at critical junctions. And you will say that, okay, in this particular workflow, I want to compare the visual state of the UI and compare it. If there are some captcha level workflows, if your automation framework already allows you to bypass those captcha workflows and then move past in your workflow testing anyways, then you can leverage that and take snapshots when the captcha is bypassed. But we are building capabilities in Visual Scanner product to automatically help you bypass some of the captcha related workflows in a codeless fashion. But when you're writing code and there are your block by captcha, we assume that you are already getting blocked also in your functional automation workflows because of that captcha. So one way or the other, you have to anyway solve for captcha related blockers that you might have. But having said that, Visual Scanner is a tool where we are trying to solve these problems out of the box for customers without writing any code. Nomfundo has another question, and folks, please feel free to ask follow-up questions if the answer is not clear for any of your questions. Like for example, Oracle Apex, I'm still not clear, so sorry about that, Nomfundo. While the team replies on that, feel free to ask any follow-up question on the already answered questions. Um, uh, Shashank, we have a question for you. So Nomfundo wants to know that you are from Red Hat, and so you guys integrate to Percy. I think you covered that already, but you may want to summarize that once again for our audience.
Yeah, so at that particular moment, like 3 years back, we started exploring the visual creation automation testing tool. So we have choose Percy at that time, and even after that, like from the last 3.5 years, we are relying on it. So right now, also we are using the same.
Thanks, Shashank, for answering that. We have question from Sneh. Can we use Xure for the comparison, or does it have to be Figma? No, I think we currently support only Figma, Sneh. The other design tools are on the roadmap, and feel free to reach out to us. We already have gotten your intent, so we'll reach out to you, in fact, rather, post this session and try to understand more about your use case around using Xure for design comparison. But currently, Figma is the one which is most popular in the industry, so we started with that first. Akash has a question on, can we use this for PDF files to verify content? Yes, absolutely, Akash. If you have PDF files posted on a particular URL, you can use to test those the changes in your PDF file using the visual scanner, or if it is you do not want to use visual scanner, you want to do it in a through a visual automation workflow, you can leverage Percy's visual AI capability to start comparing your PDF files. We also are working on native PDF file support, which will be even more powerful in splitting pages from one PDF. If let's say a PDF file has like hundreds of PDF pages within it, we would want to have a more native PDF diffing experience. That is something that we are working on. But as of now, in current state of Percy, we already support PDF file as it is. Right. Laura has a question on, can I use this application for specific scenario? Yeah, Laura, I think so. If you are having a use case around making sure that after some development has happened, your UI should not have altered, right? One way of doing that is in every development or every PR request that is running or is happening, you run visual testing builds on Percy. But if there is a goal that you've already set in mind, let's say after 10 days from now, if you want to do an audit check of your visual differences, then for any differences that are happening for next 9 days, you may want to just auto approve the branch by default, and you'll not be alerted or notified about any diffs. And from a specific date onwards or a milestone onwards, you may say that, okay, for any changes happening henceforth, I want to be notified about UI bugs. So you get those kind of customizations on a milestone based or branch based, where you can control when you are alerted about visual bugs. Um, Gordon has a question. How does visual testing manage dynamic aspects such as animations, etc.? So thanks, Gordon, for asking that. We do have capability to start ignoring some of the dynamic elements such as carousels, cookie pop-ups that keep coming on your page, which you can just ignore by selecting cookie classes, ads, or carousel in our settings. And what this essentially does is we smartly ignore most relevant classes which are known to be dynamic in nature in the industry. So you don't have to tell us that, okay, please ignore my carousel, please ignore my this particular dynamic data. But in case we are not able to do that for you, you can also go ahead and define those classes yourself in your project settings and say that these classes I always want to ignore. That is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is you have ignore region capability, wherein a specific DOM element you can entirely ignore if you know that this is a dynamic element or this is a dynamic data which always changes, and there is no point in breaking your head in reviewing that time to time. Plus, our visual AI engine is also smart enough in detecting some of those dynamic changes, in detecting it and not showing it to you as a changed element altogether. And with more generative AI capability, we're making it smarter and smarter gradually. Anything that you want to add, Shashank, on this?
No, yeah, that's
I love the, I think, the range of questions that we're getting. I'm sure that we are able to do justice with the level of questions that we're getting right now from the attendees. Thank you so much, everyone, for asking these questions. And is there any question that is left unanswered? We don't want to miss out on any question. That is all that we have for this session. Thank you so much, Shashank, for joining us today. And representing Red Hat, helping us understand how Red Hat has benefited from visual testing and how Percy in particular has benefited us. And very excited to be having another session with you sometime again. And thank you all the attendees. Thank you the panelists, Keegan, Prajwal, Pranav for joining and helping us drive this session today. And we look forward to you in the next session. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Ankur.
Thank you for your time.